Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. A question was asked on the concept of establishing prayers in the Quran. I think the concept of establishing prayers is far greater, it's deeper in parameters than we actually expect it to be. God could have said, go and pray, or the believer is one who prays. But what he says is that establish prayer. So in this respect, what does it mean to really establish prayer? What is it that you stand up, or as it says, qaim or qiyam, to establish or to stand up or to incorporate prayer into your daily life? The Imam is somebody who establishes prayers, and in the same way the Ahlul Bayt have taught us also establish prayers.
Right. I came across a hadith recently which stated that Imam Ali's face would change colour when he began to make wudu. And when the time for prayer came, he would begin to tremble. When he was asked, "O Amir al-Mu'mineen, what's the problem? Why are you changing colour? Why are you trembling?" He replied by saying that the time for the trust has come. The trust which Allah offered to the heavens, the earth and the mountains, from which they turned away and refused to accept. Now, this hadith obviously refers to the penultimate verse of Surah Ahzab. إِنَّا عَرَضْنَا الْأَمَانَةَ عَلَى السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَالْجِبَالِ فَأَبَيْنَا أَنْ يَحْمِلْنَهَا وَأَشْفَقْنَا مِنْهَا وَحَمَلَهَا الْإِنسَانُ إِنَّهُ كَانَ ظَلُومًا جَهُولًا. That's Surah 33 verse 72. The translation of this verse, which I'm sure many of you have heard, it's surely we offered the trust to the heavens and the earth and the mountains, but they refused to carry it and were afraid of it. But man carried it. Surely he is unjust and ignorant. Now,
when we look at prayer, we initially start off with the wudu, the ablution. The initial idea, concept that comes to mind is the cleansing. So what we're doing is we're cleansing our body, we're cleansing our mind. So when we wipe our face, we're removing all other thoughts from our mind. We're saying our eyes don't see anything other than Allah. We're saying that our ears don't hear anything that is not meant to be heard. So we're preparing ourselves for the prayer. When we then enter into the state of prayer, the place of prayer, we begin with the Takbiratul Ihram, the initial Allahu Akbar. And what we are saying in that state is that there is no God except Allah. We are saying that I'm removing all distractions. So there is nothing except Allah, and I see nothing other than Allah.
Our purpose of Salat is to fulfill the instruction of Almighty Allah, and that is the reason when we do the niyat of Salat, we say qurbatan ila Allah Ta'ala. We are praying this just to fulfill the instruction of Almighty Allah, and that is the only reason to be close to Him and to obey His instruction. That should be the purpose. We cannot do a niyat that I'm praying for getting heaven, or I cannot do the niyat, otherwise the salat is batil. If at all I do the niyat that I am doing this so that I can get a benefit, no. Or my Allah will listen to me, no. We have to do the niyat qurbatan ila Allah Ta'ala. That is the main purpose.
Suppose there's a hadith that says you should plan your day around your salah, not your salah around your day. And essentially, that's what every single student at university tries to work towards. Sure, we have a busy schedule, we have assignments, exams, and that all builds up from the stress. What you find is when you go pray in that state of mind, when you're stressed out, you approach your salah and you pray to your Lord and you supplicate towards Him. What you find is that it reduces your anxiety to such a level. I remember walking out my salah with a friend saying to him, you know what, right, the day we have exams, we should pray more. So I suppose in that sense, if you approach Salah in a way that you see it to be beneficial to your life, you don't see it as a burden to your life. And when that happens, you start taking a positive approach towards Salah, you start building on it, you start working your concentration in your Salah as well. And I think that's really important.
Because I feel that prayer is one of the main aspects in Islam, and the Holy Prophet ﷺ has said that everything has a face, and the face of Islam is prayer. So this really just shows how important prayer is.
Sometimes I just like to close my eyes and just focus and just think back to a moment where I remember being spiritually connected to God, where I can just feel that connection and feel that, like, just that, you know, He understands me. I mean, God just isn't your best friend. He's so much more. And He understands you so much more than everyone else will. And you can have such a connection with God that you can't have with anyone else. And so I just like to close my eyes and think about that, and think about what I'm doing during namaz, and how, you know, this is like we only pray a couple of times a day, and we have so much time for everything else, and this is the only time we have for God. So just put your all into it. It's not a lot of time you take out to pray. Just give it your most.
In Iran, every time when it was namaz time, there was a radio everywhere, so you could just hear whenever it was namaz time. And because it was a thing that everyone did together. Generally, we went to mosque to pray, and during Ramadan, everyone was urged to pray namaz and then go eat iftar. And I really like that.
Namaz personally for me is when we have to stop whatever worldly things that we're doing and stand and bow down to the one and almighty Lord. The way I instill these values in my children is that we give priorities to a lot of things in life, and most of us are quite acquainted with taking our children to sports activities or making them do grammar plus 11 plus exams. These are a very regimental part of our lives in this Western world. However, we can make namaz that as well. I always tell the kids that if you put Allah first, Allah will always put you first in life, no matter where you are, what you do. Give Him priority and He will give you priority.
જ્યારે મારો મંદો મારા વિશે પૂછા કરે છે તો કહો હું બહુ જ નજદીક છું, હું તમને જવાબ આપીશ. નજુલ બલાગામાં ઇમામ અલી કહે છે, વિચાર કરો. અલ્લાહ દુઆ માંગવાનો ચાન્સ આપીને આપણને તેના ખજાનાની ચાવી દઈ દે છે. કમનસીબ ઇન્સાન જે આવો ઓપોર્ચ્યુનિટી હોવા છતાં પોતાના ખુદા પાસે ન માંગે.
Thus, by asking from Allah, we become aware of our reliance on Him. We realize how much we need Him. We realize that He is the source of all we have. The more we ask, the more we internalize the fact that we depend on Him for everything, and ultimately He has power over all of our affairs.